Hey there YouTube, it's another exciting episode of TeardownTube, and basically this week I have an AAXA Technologies P1 Junior. It's a pocket projector. I believe it's like 10 to 12 lumen output, VGA resolution, so 640 by 480. It's a very tiny projector, and I got this off of Amazon for pretty cheap, so I just thought, I saw online there's only one other site that has teardown pictures of this one, so I thought I'd do a video teardown of it, just so that you guys can see the inside of it. So let's get rolling. Basically, 3 screws and you're in like Flynn. So let's just get into it. Make sure, these screws are so easy to strip. Make sure you're using the right size bit. Just be very careful, because I've opened this up a few times before, and if you don't have the right small enough screwdriver, you run the risk of stripping. There we go. Get out. And before I get any further into it, I guess I'll explain the various ports and whatnot. You have your standard screw mount for a tripod. Comes with a little dinky, bendy tripod. Your speaker's on the bottom, interestingly enough. You have cooling vents here. A lot more on the side as well. You have your SD card slot. It has a built-in MP3, MP4, JPEG viewer. So you can just put in an SD card and display it off of that. You have your focus knob here, pretty self-explanatory. A 5-way joystick, up, down, left, right, and then select center, and then a back button right here. You have your fan right here, and on the back you have, it's a 2.5 millimeter AV jack, so audio and video left and right. Your power button. USB, this does support USB on the go, so you can plug a flash drive using an adapter, a female full-size to mini USB adapter, male there. A hole here with, it might not be obvious, but when I open it will be, it's a IR receiver here. So that the idea would be, I don't know if, I haven't really looked around, but I suppose that there's a remote control that you can buy for this so that you don't have to keep clicking the buttons on here. And the DC charging input here, this guy does have an internal lithium polymer battery, but it only lasts about an hour. Depends on what the settings on your unit are, the brightness and whatnot, but it nets you about an hour or so, which isn't great, but what are you going to do? And on the front you have the lens, so let's crack this open. You just got to be a little bit careful, because there are some retaining clips on the side there, so you want to get in with your fingernail. And as soon as you open this, there we go, do not just yank it right off. There's actually a cable for the fan as well as the battery. So this guy's the fan, and the battery. Carefully yank that up. And this is actually a pretty sizable battery. I mean, this is a Lycos technology. It's not DLP, so it's not as efficient, not as bright. But for the money I paid, it was worth it. And like the world's smallest little fan. It's the cutest little thing. Look at that. It's cute as a button. Okay, anyway. So put that off to the side. And then you have a little protective rubber for the joystick. And the joystick itself, which is just a standard surface mount 5-way switch. And you'll notice this big honking piece of copper here. That acts as the heatsink for the LED, which, if you can see in there, this fat cableage in here. Geez, my focus isn't the best. Sorry. This guy right in here is actually the for the power LED, which goes and is heat sunk to this piece of copper here with the perforations for the heat dissipation. I don't really want to pull this guy out right now. I don't want to screw things up too bad. You have your jack for the speaker. your SD card, the slot itself, you can see here. And as I said, you can see right in here is the IR diode for picking up the remote commands. And beyond that, you just see a lot of passives on this side. All the active components are on the other side. So let me get a pry tool and hope to God that I can get this off without killing it. Let me get one of these guys. Nope, smaller one. I have a million of these iPod pry tools. They really come in handy. Okay, so let's very carefully see how this is held in. Yep, they just taped it down. This connector. Yeah, it just looks like it's held down by friction. I don't see any locking tabs on. Oh, nope, there is. Let's just get in there. Very carefully, I don't want to break it. There we go. And now this should just lift out, which it does. Very careful not to screw anything up there. Pull the LED and the speaker, and this should lift out. I'm not seeing any screws. I said I'm not seeing any screws. So what the heck's holding this guy in? Oh, there we go. Be careful, the jack's in the back there. Last thing I want to do is just tear it right out. You really have to be careful with these kind of things. I don't like particularly the way that they mounted it. Just makes it a pain to get out. Just requires a little bit of percussive maintenance, I guess. Let me try to pull it out from the back first. There you go. Okay. There you go. Now it's coming along quite nicely. Just nice and slow. Okay. There we go. Basically, the main board is pretty tiny, actually. You got a huge quad flat pack, and this is obviously for the it's the main processor, and it also handles the video decoding. And it looks like some external flash here, as well as an ST microelectronics part right here. I assume I can't really see all the tracing, but that might be for the IR communications, seeing as it's right next to the IR port. You see a lot of inductors for various, it's probably generating the core voltages for this. This looks like a custom ASIC, actually. It's a upside down. It's a T363A7. Well, I'm sorry. This guy right in here. Actually not familiar with that chip. You see a 12 megahertz crystal oscillator. Chances are it uses an internal PLL, a phase lock loop, in order to generate higher clock speeds. A lot of video systems, in order to render, you know, video on a display, you generally need quite a bit more than 12 megahertz crystals, so that's where it generates that from. and you see a few more active circuitry over here. My guess would be controlling the fan, PWMing the fan output, as well as generate a constant current for the LED supply. And that's pretty much it. Very, very tight construction. You see some 1206 parts, but most of them are 402s. A lot of very dense circuitry in here, and very dense silk screening. Let's get this back together and hope that it still works. That's actually interesting now that I notice. Nope, you go up. There's actually the charging LEDs. One of them's red and one of them's blue. It's when you plug it into charge, red will light up until it's done charging, then it lights up blue. It's interesting how they use the fan vent holes. There's no light piping or anything, so you have to look through the fan vents in order to see it glowing, which is kind of odd that they chose to do it that way. And there's actually a unpopulated footprint right in here, and that's really interesting. I'm trying to see what the heck that is. It looks sort of as if there's stress little holes in there for like stress mounting parts. So it looks like it could be a switch of some sort, especially the footprint layout. It's sort of trapezoidal. So I have no idea what's going on there, but might be interesting to try to find out one day. But let's get this all back together and hope that I didn't kill anything. I think it would be easier to get this cable in first. Like such. And now the fun part, trying to jostle it back in. Actually, that was kind of easy. Usually it's much harder to get things together than apart, but I guess I was lucky. Okay, and let's put the rubber grommet thing back in there. And I'm just going to do a quick test before screwing it all together. I don't want to have to screw it together and then find out that, I didn't put it back together properly. Make sure you get the fan plugged in as well. I just did the battery over here and the fan right here. And tuck it underneath this dust guard in there. And let's see. There we go. Now, let me just get this set up on the wall just to test to see if it'll work. There we go. And as you can see, it entirely works. And I didn't kill it. Yay. Focusing the adjustment there. And you got your AV input, which I don't have a cord plugged in the back, so that's no AV input. SD card, I don't have an SD card inserted. USB data for the USB on the go function. And setup. And what's interesting is this, you can actually, in software, it does software keystoning. So you can kind of see, maybe not. Whoever programmed the software for this, some of the things are just really annoying. You can see that it's tombstoning, and you can set it. Which is pretty cool. Usually you don't see that feature on a projector this small. And it's an AAXA P1 Junior, firmware version 3.04, 2010, 8/12/2010 it was programmed, I guess. And that's pretty much it. And so, I mean, it's really cool that we have these technologies available now, tiny projectors. This was one of the cheapest ones. Actually, I think it was the cheapest one I could get. I haven't really seen anyone else take it apart online, so I thought I would, you know, show you guys the inside of it. And it's actually a pretty cool device. I got it, I believe it retails for $109. I got it for about 80 new after a promotion that Amazon was running. And that's pretty much it for this week. I'll try to keep up new stuff, new material coming. I'm busy with classes. I just finished midterm, so I thought I'd do this for you guys. Do you guys a solid. If you like what you saw or want to see more, want to see something different, like, comment, subscribe. You know, I always appreciate feedback. And I'll see you guys next time.